But I do wonder whether the examination system itself is deficient. I mean, it hasn't really changed that much, and it's sort of siloed why is it siloed? Why is maths separate from physics? And surely they should be somehow combined in problem solving. And so I do wonder whether we have a measurement industry which is really designed around selling, or was designed around selling textbooks when textbooks were scarce. And we do seem to be running our whole education system, especially public state education systems, at the behest of multinational corporations, as opposed to the national good or the collective good.
Why? So they can sell product?
Well, essentially, I mean, the state public education system is monetised at the end by corporations who are the awarding bodies, the examination boards and so forth. But very difficult to measure art in that way, because sometimes creativity isn't recognised until later. I mean, you look at the work, for example, of Malcolm McLaren and Vivienne Westwood. They changed pop culture forever. So I think that there's an issue. We measure what we can and ignore what's actually important. And I do wonder whether we actually need a root and branch transformation of the measurement industry, because it's not the same as assessment.
No, and I was going to say, I mean, really, you're in danger if you're not careful of kind of defeating your own argument by saying we've got to measure everything for it to be good enough. We have got the development of adaptive assessment now, which ironically computers allow us to do, which means that students can have all kinds of different pathways that they pursue, depending on what their prior knowledge and their thinking in terms of what they would see as the next problem and how to solve it. So there are possibilities emerging. But I think really critically, when we're thinking about the future, education has to be the answer. I have to believe that, because
of course.
everything about me says teaching really matters, and then the interaction we have between adults and young people in terms of how we understand the world is vitally important. And of course we have to imagine new futures, but I think at the moment we are where we are, so we need to find a way through of how do we deal with the existing pressures, lessen the accountability on teachers in order that they are freer to respond to the needs of their students, and give our students a sense that their life beyond school is not going to be the kind of career that many of the people watching this programme will have had, which would be an acceptance that you'd start in one career and you just carry on for the rest. That isn't going to be how it is.
And there's a quote here from Antonio Gramsci. The crisis consists precisely in the fact that the old is dying and the new cannot be born. In this interregnum, a great variety of morbid symptoms appear. We are in this sort of mind the gap moment, and this is where we can jump at the wrong solutions. How do we begin now to navigate this gap, this end of a system and the start of a new system?
Well, I think Alison's earlier point about education has to be key in this. I mean, Antonio Gramsci wrote that over 100 years ago, the interregnum, and we are seeing that.
Isn't it ironic that he wrote it in the 1930s and look at the state of our economy at the moment?
Yes, and he wrote it from prison. I mean, he was arrested for his wicked ideas. This was predicted also by Guy Standing, from SOAS, and his view at that time was the fact that we would lose employment because globalisation would allow us to move manufacturing and other jobs to areas of the world where we have cheaper labour, and that would take the soul out of the economy. And we've seen that in the United Kingdom, in the North, for example. We've seen it in parts of America, in Detroit. So Guy Standing was saying that what happens there is that when you don't have income security, where you don't have meaningful employment, you start thinking about who you can blame. And he was suggesting, well, it turns out you blame migrant labour. You then become interested in extreme right-wing politics. What's happening now is as we start seeing artificial intelligence, automation, self-driving cars, gene editing and so forth, yes, there are going to be great, fantastic opportunities for new jobs that we've never imagined. But there's going to be a period of time, quite a long period of time, where we have a large population at internet scale of people who don't have a regular income. We're seeing that with zero-hour contracts, for example, now, therefore don't have social agency. And we could find ourselves in a lot of trouble. Education must be part of that solution in preparing our young people. It's not like we don't know this is happening and is about to happen. It's not that we can't anticipate the future, and yet we aren't designing our global education systems for this time. And we should be, because it is, I believe, a big part of the solution.